Chris Bumstead recently put out a new video titled Building Big Delts and Mini Rant. And a lot of you guys have been asking for my opinion on Chris's training methods, as well as a lot of other bodybuilders whose training recommendations don't necessarily fall in line with what I promote. So in today's video, we're going to cover Chris's most recent training video, where he discusses a bit more about his methods, and then I'm going to give you guys my feedback. But first, if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Pete Kacharian. I'm a bodybuilding coach, writer, and educator, and I've worked and consulted with hundreds of amateur bodybuilders, pro bodybuilders, and non-competitors looking to build more muscle. But for now, let's jump in and watch Chris's video.
A lot of people get the misconception that's either good or bad, and when you're young at the beginning, you don't want to train like an idiot so you're performing horrible and you're going to hurt yourself. But if you love training hard, you love being strong as fucking lifting a lot of weights, and you can handle 2 leg days a week and you're not broken, then run with it. Ride with it, have fun, and just like enjoy that training, get strong and learn from all of that, and eventually you'll need to taper down and focus on recovery and growth and everything. But if you're doing that and you just love training, then don't let someone tell like it's not really optimal to say that's the wrong thing.
So basically what Chris is saying at the beginning of his rant is that a novice to training or somebody just starting out, that there's really no right or wrong way to train. If you love lifting heavy, you should. If you love training more frequently, you should. His basic message is have fun with your training and enjoy it. And I personally couldn't agree more with this idea. In the beginning, the basics work. So as long as you're training hard, heavy, and progressive, you're gonna get great results. My personal recommendation for the beginner to grow the fastest is to train heavy with basic compound movements. Train them frequently, train them progressively. So your main goal should be to get stronger week after week, month after month. That's gonna take you from novice to intermediate as fast as possible. But the key element to making all this work is consistency. If you're using a method that you don't enjoy or even hate, you're probably not gonna last that long. And the key for real results in bodybuilding is long-term consistency. Now, once you get to the intermediate or advanced stages, the advice that I give you to build muscle, it's gonna look completely different. But before we get into that, let's watch more of the video.
With myself, I'm going to tell most people you should not be doing legs twice in a week because you can't handle it. 99% of the world cannot handle it. If this kid's a beast and he can do it, then you might as well do it until your body tells you not. As much as you hear like good advice, which is normally good, there's always exceptions, and knowing that you need to learn, read your body of what's proper. So in that instance,
so the one thing that I do disagree on is Chris is basically saying 99% of people cannot recover from 2 leg sessions per week. Now, I think Chris has a phenomenal physique and one of the most impressive in the entire bodybuilding industry as a whole today. But Chris is not a coach. His main goal is not understanding the optimal way to train for the vast majority of people. His focus is to understand on exactly how his body responds to all these variables and to execute the exact plan that his coach provides. With that said, Chris follows a fairly low volume, low frequency approach to bodybuilding. And obviously this works for him, based on his own unique strength levels, recovery abilities, lifestyle factors, and genetics. But I would actually make the exact opposite argument that Chris made. And I would say that 99% of people can actually recover just fine from twice a week leg training, even very strong advanced bodybuilders. Because Chris follows a fairly low volume, high intensity approach to training, one simple philosophy that obviously works for Chris, but can be very detrimental to many other bodybuilders, is the thought process that you need to take every single set to failure. Sure, if you're in the gym performing barbell squats, hack squats, and deadlifts with 400, 500, or 600 pounds, and taking every single set to failure, you're probably not going to be able to come back to the gym just 2 or 3 days later and perform at your best. But if you focus on managing fatigue by training with most sets 1 to 2 reps shy of failure, this opens up lots of possibilities for higher volume training and higher frequency training. And this is exactly what the bread and butter training styles were for guys back in the 60s and 70s. Guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sergio Oliva, Franco Columbu, Serge Nubret, they all trained with higher volume and hit body parts twice or even up to 3 times per week. And they all recovered fine. So the point of this video is not to say that Chris's advice is wrong or that he doesn't know what he's talking about. But it's important for bodybuilders not to make general statements like saying you can't train legs twice per week and recover, when everything in bodybuilding is simply context dependent. So my advice is, yes, you absolutely do need to take recovery into account when it comes to training. But recovery comes from focusing on 3 separate variables. That's volume, intensity, and frequency. And they all need to be balanced in a proper training program. If you focus on just intensity over everything else, your volume is going to need to be lower and your frequency is going to need to be reduced. But if you start balancing each of these 3, which you should be if your goal is maximum muscle gain, you'll find that now you can start breaking a lot of these so-called bodybuilding rules. If this advice was helpful, I encourage you to go out and experiment a bit for yourself, and you might just find that many of these rules that bodybuilders put out aren't always as black and white. Or you can just disregard everything I said and go ahead and follow C-Bum's routine, as the guy has a top 1% physique on the planet. But if you're looking to build more muscle using proven old school bodybuilding training methods, I recommend you check out my 5-day old school mass gain program that you can find down below. And as always, if you guys want to see more of the best original bodybuilding content just like this, make sure to hit subscribe.